Alright guys, so in this video we're going to talk about a lot of things. The exodus of NIO management team in Europe. So there's big change, big shuffle up. Alright, and then also why this is bullish going forward. I'll highlight some of the problems that they're encountering in Europe. Alright, and also margins, what's going on with margins. I just really want to get this off my chest. Alright, we're seeing margins being really low for NIO vehicles right now. Back in 2021, somebody highlighted back in 2021, NIO had like 18% margins on their vehicles. Now it's less than 10%. What's going on? And it's very apparent that the fatal mistake that has happened is because of choosing 4 RNX chips on every single NIO vehicle. So my car, the NIO EC6, first gen NIO, this car had higher margins than the current NIOs that they're selling because this car doesn't require you to buy a super expensive chip from NVIDIA. Well, actually 4 super expensive chips from NVIDIA. It only uses a Mobileye chip, which is relatively cheaper. So you can imagine NIO CEO saying that they take up 46% of all RNX sales. That really pumps up NVIDIA. Right, NVIDIA is seeing record profits, but that also means that the cost of every car for a NIO NT 2.0 car is much more expensive. So this just, it's kind of partially because of their decision. All right, they're sticking every single car with 4 RNX chips. Why not 1 RNX chip, right? Which is what most people are doing. Of course, you want to be the leader in terms of hardware, etc. That's understandable. But, when it comes to a price war and you got to cut costs, that's really going to hurt margins, all right, because it's so expensive to build every car. But, of course, the good thing is they've identified the problem and they're going to fix it, and this will no longer be a problem in future generations of NIOs. NIO NT 3.0 definitely will have much higher margins because they're not going to be using NVIDIA chips. They don't have to pay so much money for every single vehicle. So that's going to be good. They're going to be using their own chips. Now, on to the NIO EU mass exodus situation. So what's going on? Well, recently there's been a big massive reshuffle, and just a couple days ago, the head of NIO in Norway, well, he used to be head of NIO in Norway, and then he turned into the head of NIO in Germany when the previous head of NIO in Germany left. Marius Haller, he was the first sort of EU CEO that NIO hired. He is unfortunately leaving the company. All right, he's going to Polestar. And you can see this post that he made on LinkedIn sharing the news that he's leaving NIO, going to Polestar. And also not only that, Matt Galvin, which is the head of NIO in UK, they haven't officially launched in UK, but they built a team. Matt Galvin was the head of it, and they were going to launch NIO there. But of course, it's kind of expensive to expand into another country. So NIO's been holding that off. And we're not seeing too much action there yet. So maybe he got a little bit impatient and left the company, but also went to Polestar as well. Now, this is a classic example of poaching, right? Polestar poached talent, maybe offered them a much more lucrative salary. And of course, they couldn't resist and just jumped ship. So that's very normal. But what you're seeing right now, all right, and this is, I'll make it clear, this is my personal opinion. There are several big problems, in my personal opinion, with the whole NIO EU operation. Okay, so first of all, I'm not going to point names, but apparently talking to some of the other NIO owners, NIO managers, NIO GMs, etc., it seems to me that the biggest problem with Europe is that the community culture is not there. Okay, so it's called 社区文化, community culture. It's very difficult to explain. Right? Because here in China, you'll see NIO owners volunteer to go into the stores or go into auto shows and try to sell NIO vehicles as if they're good buddies with the company. You don't really see that ever, not even with other brands, all right? Even here in China, like, you don't see a Tesla owner going to a Tesla store trying to sell Teslas. No, you just don't see that, okay? So this is something quite special about community culture here in China. Like, this NIO is one of the only company that has this going on, all right? There's a very strong community culture here, and it's very apparent that in Europe, they have not built this up, okay? They have not built this up, and for whatever reason, maybe they started off on a wrong foot, or maybe they're just not doing things right. The community culture is just not there, okay? So they're probably just doing things a lot more differently than here in China, which I understand, but that's one of the problems that even some of the NIO owners here in China, when they go to Europe, they go to one of the EU NIO houses, they feel that right away, okay? So, okay, nothing against the EU team. It's just what it is, all right? And I really hope that this reshuffle of management and the staff, you know, a lot of them are leaving, and you got new staff coming in. Hopefully they can change this up. And also what's really apparent, point number 2, is that NIO tries really hard to get these higher up management people to understand community culture. They get them to come to China and experience what it's like. They get to experience community culture here in China, but they do the job for maybe half a year and then they leave, all right? So that's time wasted, both for NIO here in China and, you know, for the guy that, you know, takes the job. So this is also very frustrating. You're seeing these people, they don't really stay for that long, okay? And really, you gotta have people that stay for a long period of time and just stays with the company. And we're not really seeing that. And also, okay, one of the bigger issues that I've seen. So apparently, according to some of the NIO managers here in China, that's also a problem with EU. The guys at the very top did not come from sales. So they do everything else very well, but, you know, in terms of sales, they don't really have like a super strong root, if you get what I mean, okay? They don't come from sales, right? You need somebody that comes from sales, aka many years ago, they were part of a sales. They were doing vehicle sales, and then they slowly grew up the chain, the food chain, and then they became like top management. So this whole entire reshuffle, I think it's very bullish. All right, this is why I titled the video NIO Stock Bullish. All right, even though you got these guys leaving, you got new blood coming in, and you got these NIOs completely revamping how EU is going to be working. And one thing's very clear is that NIO can succeed in the EU. NIO will succeed in the EU. They just got to get it right. And they're doing big changes, and hopefully these big changes will change everything in the right direction and really help boost sales. It's unfortunate that these top level guys, okay, general managers, Marius Haler, I really like that guy, Matt Galvin, unfortunate that they're leaving, but it's just a way of life, right? Nothing's permanent, nothing's forever. You got new people coming in, all right? Hopefully they're going to change things up and get the ball rolling, all right? EU is a very special market because I think NIO in the EU can succeed just by building swap stations, all right? With energy storage, they can earn a ton of money, 200K euro profit, pure profit per swap station. They just build a ton of swap stations, earn money off battery swap, off of grid stabilization. And then once you have lots of swap stations, customers are going to come. That's just the way it is. Definitely there's going to be a bright future for EU and UAE as well. Global expansion is looking good. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.